Hi, everybody. Welcome back to It's All Light. I'm your host, Natalie Baugh, and today's special guest is Cole Zeisger. I always mix it up.
Zeziger, you got it.
Cole Zeziger.
Yeah.
And Cole actually is an influencer on social media, and his content's pretty top notch. And one day we'll get him to share more about that, but we'll post his socials to look on it. But today we're actually going to talk about a recap of a conference that we went to, which I'm actually wearing my jacket from when I interned there at Silicon Slopes.
That's cool.
Ironically today. So I used to intern at Silicon Slopes organization. They do their tech summit every year. And Cole was there. I was there. I missed the first day. And Cole was sharing with me some of these thoughts and notes he took from that day where Tony Robbins spoke and Gary Vee. So we're going to hear just some recap of those, especially if you were there and wanted a review, or if you weren't there, now you get to hear what they learned. So let's get to know Cole just a little bit better, though. Where are you from, and what's your favorite color?
That's an easy one. I can do that one. So I'm from Centerville, Utah. It's kind of near Bountiful. It's a little bit north of Salt Lake City. And I grew up there pretty much my whole life. Then went on a mission to the Philippines after that, and then lived in Idaho for a little bit. And now I live near Natalie in Vineyard.
Yeah. I met Cole on a double date. He was with his now wife, Jocelyn, and they're just the best couple ever. And I'm happy to know them. So, yeah.
She's fantastic. I like blue.
Yeah. You're wearing blue right now. It's a good color on you. Red's also a solid color. Well, we'll get to know Cole as he shares some of his notes. He's a very, I don't want to say detailed prone guy, but like you just take in knowledge, like you're a sponge and you soak it in, but you also know how to convey and teach it. Hence why your platform is so big and helpful. And I'm excited to hear from you today.
Fun. I'm getting hyped up a lot.
So the first one was Gary Vee. Tell us about that.
Okay, so Gary Vee his name's Gary Vaynerchuk, and he's an immigrant from Czechoslovakia. He came here when he was like 3. And he is pretty much like, if you're weird like me and like watching YouTube about making content stuff, then he's like the biggest guy in that area. And I actually started TikTok and Instagram just because he pretty much told me to, because I was wanting to start a business, and he's like, make TikTok, and I did. So going and seeing him meant a lot to me because he was kind of the start of my journey. But the thing that he talked about that like was really inspiring to me was he just talked about how distribution is different now than it's ever been for content. So if you're wanting to share some sort of message that you have with the world, before social media, you had to like pay a lot of money either to newspapers or commercials or some other thing to get your content out there.
Yeah.
And the quality of the content didn't really matter on how far it was pushed. It was just how much money you paid to get it pushed. But
so
the
people saw what people paid for.
Yeah. Yeah. And you could pay like $1 million for a Super Bowl commercial. And then if your content wasn't good, you just wasted $1 million.
Yep.
And the thing that he was making a huge deal about was that now with social media, it's all free, first of all. Like, you can get as many views as you want for free. And the only thing that determines how many people see your stuff is just how good your videos are.
That's the algorithm.
Yeah, it was cool. Like it's the first time in history that you don't have to have a ton of money to get started. You just have to be good at making things. And to be good at making things, you just have to get started. So
or good at dancing or singing, or I know all these TikTok stars are becoming big just through that.
Yeah. So like another thing he talks about all the time is like, if you want to get started doing anything, just make 3 videos a day, and you're probably going to suck at first, but that's why you're making 3 a day. And then you just keep doing it. But yeah, that's kind of the approach I made. So yeah, if we talk about that some other time, I'd like to dive into it. But that was my thing I really liked from him.
And you knew that going into your starting of your platform, right? You just started batching content and being consistent.
Yeah, mine sucked at first. It was pretty much me driving around talking about random stuff. And then one of them about like breakups and divorce for some reason, like did good. So then I just did that.
And then it just took off from there.
Yeah.
That is so cool. Cause I feel like for people wanting to get into it, maybe they get one viral video, but they aren't sure how to sustain it. And like, I don't know, it helps having a theme or a niche, right?
Yeah, I think if you do that and you get one viral video, usually doubling down on the things that work really well tends to be like the system for doing well. So if you're thinking about it right now, you have lots of different interests, I would make videos about all of them. And then just if one is starting to do better than the other ones, double down on that. But just make sure it's something that you really enjoy talking about. Because if you
Yeah.
are making 3 videos a day about something, like mine had to be relationships, anime, or dirt bikes. So it just
That's
turned out to be
awesome. You know your passions. I think that's helpful too. And then you enjoy what you do. I've enjoyed this podcast for over a year now just because it's so much fun. And it hasn't
so
grown because I haven't put the work in, but it's fun for now.
that's freaking beautiful for this camera. You got cool lighting, microphone.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, George, always and forever. Okay, sorry. Keep going, Cole.
Okay, so that was pretty much my Gary Vee stuff. Tony Robbins is probably like the biggest. He was the biggest deal there.
Yeah.
Um, all of you probably know Tony Robbins, but he's been a life coach for every single president of the United States in his lifetime, except for Joe Biden. He said,
Wow.
yeah, and it started when he was 30. So he actually had Bill Clinton call him, saying, "I'm going to be impeached tomorrow. What do I do?" When he was 30 years old, and he advised the president on how to save his job.
I didn't know that.
It
Whoa.
was, yeah,
That's
super
crazy.
So
Whoa.
he does that. He's worked with like Oprah, like all big, everybody who's like famous and gets a life coach gets him. But it's kind of because he costs like a lot.
$1 bajillion. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But the main thing he focused on was, he said the biggest key to like success in life is having massive energy in whatever you do. And I took that to mean like always doing your best and bringing your full effort into all of your activities in life.
Hmm.
Natalie's really good at that.
Oh, I'm
But
sitting here like I'm so tired and effort is hard. But thank you.
you're welcome.
Oh.
But he gave an example of like why it's so important, and then I'll talk about how he said you can develop energy if you feel like you don't have any.
Ooh,
So
nice.
the example he gave was, he talked about how massive energy works in relationships. And I talk about relationships a lot, so I remember that one. But basically, he said, think of a couple that both of them are totally in love with each other, but also have passions that they're both separately pursuing. They are both really excited about like either taking care of the kids or their job, or like playing tennis on Saturday. They have something that they're really diving into and really proud to be doing. They're really comfortable, high energy on their spiritual beliefs. There's every aspect of their life, they have completely high energy, and they have a super high amount of love too. And he was like, how good do you think that relationship would be? And everyone's like, it'd be super good. And he was like, correct. Then he said, think of a couple now that has the same amount of love, like exactly the same amount of love as the first couple. They love each other so much, but they're kind of middle of the road on their energy levels with all those other things. Like they may go to work and have a job that they don't really like, but it's okay. And they come home and they have money now. And maybe they don't really have any hobbies, but like they like to watch football or something. Like they have something, and they're just like medium on their energy levels. And he's like, how good is their relationship? And everyone's like, medium. Last one, he said,
Hmm.
what if somebody has the same amount of love but super low energy in every area of their life? Like they both hate their job, they hate taking care of the kids, they may like just have nothing to do, they don't know who they are as people, they don't have interests. He said that relationship is going to be terrible. And he wanted to make the distinction that the amount of love can be exactly the same in all three of those,
Hmm.
because everyone thinks a great relationship's great if you love each other.
Yeah.
But if you don't enjoy your life or have high energy in all of those other areas, the love doesn't really make a difference. It's exactly the same across all three because the energy levels are different.
How would you define energy?
How would I define energy?
Like just to give us some context as we talk more about this.
I would define it as two things, like being proud of what you do, like not having any cognitive dissonance, like living within your values of what you do. And then because you're proud, you're able to bring a level of enthusiasm into your life. So I'd say like setting your life up so that you do things that are within your values. You're proud of all the different aspects of your life. And then because you're proud, you're able to, yeah, bring a level of enthusiasm in. That'd be energy.
So kind of defining your values and defining that, in a way, success, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I
That
like
was
that.
on the spot, but so that's
No,
probably, I don't know if that's what it
no,
means, but
no, it makes sense. I feel like that just helps me as you talk about it. Now I have a little bit more framework.
cool.
Okay,
So
continue.
he asked like how we can get that energy. If it's so important to have a lot of energy in what you do you do to get it? And some people were like, well, you need to eat. And he's like, well, it depends. Like some of us eat and it actually takes more energy to digest the crappy foods we're eating than we get from it. And then another person's like, you need to sleep. And he's like, yeah, that matters too. Like you need sleep. But he said that the actual way to develop this level of energy is that it's a habit and then it's a choice. So
A
it's
habit and a choice. Sorry,
yeah.
keep going. I just wanted to reiterate those two because I'm thinking about it now.
It made it sound a lot cooler by repeating it. So pretty much what he had us do, it was kind of awkward at first, but I was with one of my friends, so it was a little bit less awkward, but he had us look at each other and then just like scream at each other, I own you. And then he had the
I
other person
own
scream,
you.
yeah. Then he had the other person scream, I own you back. And he called it an energy off. And the purpose was, yeah, to be awkward at beginning so he could get everyone to get out of their comfort zones. But it was also to show that you could develop energy just by using energy. So we all were kind of tired because it was the end of the day. We'd listen to just business people talk about business, and not all of it is relevant to me, at least. So, like, it had been 6 hours of sitting there and taking notes, and then all of a sudden we had to get up and scream at each other. And it was cool to see how using energy gave energy. And that's what he said is the best way to develop energy is if you do activities that require energy, then you develop more of a personality of energy and a habit of energy. So it would be things like physical activity, like working out or standing with better posture or speaking more powerfully and more quickly. Kind of having habits with energy is how he said you can develop energy.
Oh, I like that. I had a mission president and we had a zone conference or something like that. And he had pulled up some missionary at the top and made them start jumping with him saying, if you act enthusiastic, then you'll be enthusiastic. Like, and he's just this tiny old man just jumping up and down, like acting so enthusiastic, and it made everyone laugh and we all felt that energy. So I think it's a cool principle that I think is easily forgotten, right? There's so much energy to tap into in our lives and create these habits. I love that.
Yeah. And he said he just kept talking the whole time about like the state that you're in when you're doing things really affects the results you're getting. So one of the applications he said is if you're ever just about to go and do something like big, like maybe you have a job interview, maybe you're going to have like a tough conversation with your spouse or boyfriend, girlfriend, like, yeah, what you're doing right now.
Power pose.
He said,
like,
yeah, power
put your
pose,
arms up.
make yourself big, see if you can breathe deeper, see if you can like take up more room and or even like go out and do something physical, like you have time, go and jog a little bit, just do something to put yourself in a higher energy state before that. And he pretty much said that things always turn out better when you're going into that state.
That's cool. There's a Ted Lasso clip where the owner of
I
the
haven't
soccer
seen that.
team.
I've heard it's a good show.
It is really good. You just have to tune out some F words, but it's really, really good. It leaves you feeling good. But yeah, the owner, she's a lady owner of the soccer team and has to make a lot of big decisions. And she would look in the mirror and just like do the power poses and crazy faces. And I don't know, it works though. It's so cool. There's science behind it. So,
Yeah.
I love that. Do you do anything like that, Cole? Oh, sorry. I cut you off.
Kinda. I'll tell the science, but like I do like consciously think about my posture and trying to not make myself like smaller when I walk now, hearing him.
Yeah.
I think my general posture is not good. I tend to like put my shoulders forward and like he said that when you're making yourself smaller, specifically if you cross your ankles while sitting down is the one he really said makes a difference. If
Whoa.
you make yourself smaller, then you act smaller in situations.
Shoot, I
Okay,
didn't
this
know
is the
that.
science behind it though that I think is super cool.
Yeah,
So
do
have you read
share.
the book? It's called 12 Rules for Life. It's Jordan Peterson. Have you read
Oh,
that?
no, I've heard of it and I've read parts of it.
Okay. So he's awesome. But the first rule is stand up straight with your shoulders back. And the whole entire, like, I don't know how many pages I listened to it, but it felt like a long time on Audible. He just describes lobster physiology. And it's like,
Mm.
it goes on forever. But what he pretty much says is that in lobster societies, if lobsters will fight with each other, which they do all the time, the loser will have a lot more closed down body posture after that. And then when they actually analyze like the nervous systems of these lobsters, the ones that are standing, like all the loser lobsters, if they're standing small, they have considerably lower levels of serotonin, which is the chemical that makes you feel happy and satisfied with life.
Interesting.
And if they like forcefully like cause the lobsters to be in a bigger, more open posture, then they had larger levels of serotonin. So it was like directly related in the way and he said that if it works for lobsters, it works with all other more complicated life forms too. That's kind of like the basis of nervous systems is what lobsters have. But it correlated with a larger body posture means that you consider yourself higher in the hierarchy of society, and your brain actually allows you to be happier and allows you to be more satisfied. So yeah, that's tangent, but that's cool.
And I feel like to sum it up, like bigger invites more in, so to speak.
Yeah.
Like the bigger you love, the more love you can receive in your heart type of parallel.
He said that exact same thing.
Well, I love
he said that, the more you use of yourself, the more you're allowed to receive. So that counts. That's, I guess, a summary of energy. The more energy you give into something, the more you give to the world, the more you get. And if you don't give of yourself, you don't not only receive, but you end up losing those parts of yourself. Yeah.
That's so cool. Do you have any examples in your life where that has happened? Sorry, this is again putting you on the spot.
No, I do have one. So throughout like junior high and in elementary school, I was freaking cool. And I was like really confident. I had tons of friends in elementary school. When I got to like junior high and high school, I like developed a part of my brain that like started to want people to like me. So I had to I held back a lot of myself because I was like, people won't like me if I do this or this or this. And I ended up not participating as much throughout life. And I didn't volunteer to like give answers in class. I didn't go to things. I would fake sick a lot so I wouldn't be like going to school like really to a fault. Like at the end, I almost didn't graduate because I ended up going to wood shop like 5 times the entire year, and I had to like convince my teacher to give me a D-. Like it became like a big problem that I just wouldn't put myself out there because I really thought that other people would judge me, and it was really important to me what everybody thought about me. And then after I graduated, I went on a mission and I flew to the Philippines MTC. And when I got there, I made a promise to myself that I was nobody knew who I was. And I realized that I wanted to be more participative and give more of myself to what I was in. So I said, I'm going to volunteer for everything always, like to the point where I'm annoying. Because I was like, I did the opposite all through school, and let's see how this goes. So I did, like the entire MTC, I volunteered for absolutely everything. And I was probably one of those really annoying kids that just answers like tons of questions and you're sick of hearing from them. But it helped me learn the language really quickly. And I think it helped me become a really good missionary because at the end of my mission, I loved the Filipino people, and it was the worst thing ever to leave. And even like when I was walking back to my apartment on my last day, I was walking beside a cockroach because they're everywhere in Manila.
Ooh.
And I looked down at the cockroach and I realized that I was even going to miss living with cockroaches because I had so much love in me for the Philippines and everything about it. And I think I got that because I really tried to give myself in every single way during that time.
That is so beautiful. I love that. And I just can relate just to my own mission experience, and I'm sure others listening can as well. Like, you give your heart and soul to those people, 24/7. So it really does show you how that grows, like from a extreme standpoint, because there's not another time in our lives where we dedicate that 24/7. So it's cool that we get that extreme example that we can take in and hopefully apply to other areas of our life. So thanks for sharing. I love that. I'll let you continue with your list of notes because I don't have the outline. So we're just letting Cole direct today.
You were good. So they had a lot more speakers, but my three favorite were Gary Vee, Tony Robbins, and then Elder Bednar. So when Elder Bednar showed up, a lot of people were really confused, and there were also like a lot of hate comments on they made like this little social media thing where everybody could chat. And there were a lot of hate comments. They're like, just like Utah to bring the church into it. And everyone was like, not sure what he would say. And I was really curious too, because it was a business conference and they're having one of the apostles of Jesus Christ there. So I was like, what's going to happen? But it ended up, I think, becoming like one of everybody's favorite speakers.
Oh, for sure.
He did a really, really good job. He didn't hide Christ, but he used how the church does business and taught principles. And my favorite one was he talked about how he used to have a personal relationship with Sam Walton, which, if you guys don't know, he's the founder of Walmart, which you've been to. And he just talked about how, I don't remember why they like knew each other. It might've been something, he worked on a business thing for a school and they might've worked together or something like that. Do you remember?
I wish I remember something with school because Bednar was in education a lot.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, I'll look that up.
They were pretty much saying that like for every business person's like person they'd want to sit down and have dinner with, Sam Walton is usually up there as like one of the best. And he gave this story to say why. And this was one of my favorite things Elder Bednar said and something I want to become more of. But he said that Sam Walton, who at the time of this story is already like a mega person, like he has several Walmart locations all over the place. They still have the headquarters in Bentonville, Arkansas. He probably is super busy, but what he would do is he would just go by himself and enter different Walmarts. And then he would just grab off the shelves because he technically like owned everything. He'd grab like some saltine crackers and tuna fish and a can opener. And then he'd invite everyone back to like the back room that like employees only don't enter thing. And he'd have the tuna and the crackers, open it, and that would be his lunch. And then he had a notepad and he got everyone around him. And then while he was there, he asked everyone and said, what are the things that sell the most? What are the things that don't sell the most? And what are we doing in Bentonville that is making it hard for you guys to do your jobs? Pretty much like, what do we suck at according to you, Walmart employees?
Yeah, like their personal experiences. Yeah.
Yeah. And he showed a level of respect to every single Walmart employee, like he worked for them almost, which is crazy when you think about it, because a lot of Walmart employees are like high school kids. But he would ask them and he would take everything they said really seriously and he would write it down in his notepad. And he would go back to Arkansas and see how he could implement all of their concerns. And he would actually take them very seriously. And if he couldn't implement them, because I'm sure some of their concerns like were not very valid because they don't know the scope of the entire conglomeration of Walmart, but he would write personal letters back to them and say, we really tried. This is the reason it won't work, but thank you so much for giving me your input. Your value.
That's cool.
And
so many key points, right?
Yeah. I think for me, the thing I took away most from it was that he never got like blinded by his success, and he considered everybody around him someone he could learn something from and someone that was worth respecting and worth giving his time to, even though I'm sure his time was very, very valuable.
Totally. So, yeah, I was able to hear that one too. And I was just looking at some of my notes, but like the question he would ask, you summed them up, but another one was, help me to know what we do that makes it hard to do your job. Just catering to the employee. And there's so many studies show that like people work harder and better when these elements are in place, when they feel valued, seen, heard, loved. Loved in a different sense in the work environment, but just operating at this level that's not like I'm the big honcho leader, but he would get onto their level, right? He would just be chill with his crackers and tuna fish. I don't know. It's just fun to pull apart these elements and apply them to our lives. What are
Yeah.
some takeaways you got like in your personal life from this?
I think that's something that helps me in my job when I do a good job of it is if I like pretend that I'm some super knowledgeable relationship coach and everyone else is stupid, then I don't think anyone would want to listen ever. And I think I would just seem really pretentious and not genuine. And I bet my company would die.
Mm,
So one thing that I think is always worth reminding yourself of is that you're like just a person and that you only know your own experience and that everyone else is smarter than you in something. So
mm,
yeah, that's something that helps me is like I can see 700 people that this specific relationship thing works for, but if I'm talking to someone on the phone, they're like that won't work for me. I try to really like ask them why and
mm-hmm.
take it really um, as a possibility that yeah, they know their partner, they were with them for 3 years. Even though I've talked to all these other people, that has nothing to do with their situation.
Mm.
Like how can I listen? And I try to really think about it. And if I still think the pattern from all the other people is like something that's worth trying for them, I tell them. But I try to um, really listen and see what I think about their answer too.
I like that. That's cool. Do you have any other thoughts or notes from this that you want to add on?
I have one little tangent thing.
Let's hear it. This is what
Okay,
podcasts are for.
this has nothing to do with anything, but so I watch videos on AI sometimes, and
Mm.
like so I have a friend named John Dorman, and he is like a genius at everything that is like complicated, like space and AI and things like that. And so we talk about it a lot, and he gives me lots of videos to watch. But I was watching one on how AI is going to destroy the world in like 3 years. And I was like super freaked out about it and kind
Oh
of
my
bugged
gosh.
because I don't totally remember why I was going to destroy the world, but I was mainly just bugged how like I was working so hard to build things and I want to have like a family and I don't want AI to destroy the world. Like I want everyone to just leave me alone and let me build my stuff. So like I've been worried about that. And throughout the whole conference, they're talking about all these like progressions in AI. And I was like, dang it, stop it. And then Elder Bednar got asked about what he thinks about AI and how
Yeah,
it's
that's
affected.
right.
Yeah. And let me see. I wrote down the quote because it was like comforting to me. I don't know if there's any other crazy conspiracy theorists listening like me, but he said, um, I actually have two things to share now that I see another note.
Yay.
But he pretty much said that AI and the growth of AI is going to do more for the church than any other technology. And the example he gave was like specifically conference was just coming up. So he said that we're going to have to translate this into 111 different languages. And right now that's a giant bottleneck because you have to have
Mm-hmm.
people do that. Like they have to go through it and translate it. And we have to have
Yeah.
at least 111 people do that. It takes time. With AI, it can just happen instantly. And it might even be more correct than the people. So it
Wow.
was really cool. It was cool to have someone who I believe is directed by Jesus Christ saying that the thing I was really afraid of is actually a good thing. So, yeah, that made me not worry as much. So I thought that was cool.
I think that's usually the case with like anything like social media, right? Like it can be addictive and detrimental in so many ways and all these mental health issues, but at the same time, we're able to connect and share. And I don't know, it's a double edged sword, but it's so much better to just put our energy toward all these good things about it and appease our doubts and fears, huh?
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing
Okay.
that. Okay, next thing. Yeah, go ahead.
Last thing. So this has nothing to do with the last one, but it's
That's
also
all
cool.
right.
So with Elder Bednar, he said one last thing that I wanted to share. And he was talking about Robert D. Hales, who
Mm,
was also an apostle before, but he passed away now. And Elder Bednar said that he got to spend a lot of time around him. Now, he described Robert D. Hales before he told the story. And he said, this is someone who I think he was like a minor league baseball player, or at least college. Like he was really successful in baseball. He was,
I know I'm pulling up
he
my
was just
notes.
really, okay. He was really athletic. And I remember he was the CEO of Gillette too. Like he had like
Oh,
all these
yeah.
crazy accolades as a person. And when Elder Bednar knew him, he was 80 years old, severely crippled by age, and can pretty much do nothing. And he went to him and he asked him, and he said, why, or how does it feel? And he probably said it in a nicer way than I'm going to say it, but he said, like, how does it feel to like go from being able to do everything and being so successful in everything to pretty much being able to do nothing?
Yeah.
Like, is that like severely depressing that you just are like not able to live the entire life that you've built?
Mm-hmm.
And Elder Hale said, when you can't do what you've always done, then you only do what matters most. And then Elder Bednar said that you don't have to wait until you're 80 to do that. I thought that was really cool, that we spend a lot of time doing random things. Like I spend a lot of my time figuring out how to make more money in my business, which is weird because when you think about it, it's like you're making more money so you can spend time with your family. So you're not spending time with your family so you can spend more time with your family.
Yeah, sounds kind of backwards, right?
But yeah, so you don't have to give up all the things that you like doing, but I think it's just worth thinking about, like, if I was 80, would this matter to me? Is this, and am I giving up the thing that actually would matter to me for something that wouldn't?
Yeah.
That was good to think about.
What matters most to you, Cole, if that's not too personal?
Right now, it's developing a relationship with Jesus Christ. So the things I'm doing to try to do better at that are, like, in the morning, I used to have a habit, as in like 2 days ago, I used to have a habit of like going through email, Instagram notifications, TikTok notifications, answering like 60 DMs, making a video, posting it, and getting out of bed at like 10 a.m. after I'd done like a lot of things on my phone. And I realized that I wasn't like prioritizing. I always said that making a relationship with Jesus Christ was important to me, but I'm spending the first 4 hours of my day on my phone, just working on my business, which I think isn't bad. Like, it shouldn't be bad to work on your business, but I think you should have your priorities in order. So what I'm doing now is putting that first in my day. I'm trying to say a prayer first, and then read the scriptures first, and then listen to a talk as I get ready for the day. And then I can focus on my business. But I think it teaches my brain that God is more important than business when I actively put him before my business.
When you show it. Yeah. Oh, that's really cool. I think it's always helpful. Maybe we have Sundays, which are a nice restful day to reflect. And I think that's a great time to see, like you said, like as of 2 days ago, like we can always try something new and we might fail. Like maybe you don't have time to read the scriptures in the morning, but you can listen to a talk on your way to work, like there's always something little, or even just saying your prayers, like just doing that little thing. And this can be applied to other things that are important to you too, like working out in the morning and making that a priority. But yeah, it's trial and error, because I do know that I've tried so many things and I've failed in a lot of things too. But as long as you're reevaluating, I should say. Yeah. You're just nodding. I'm like, okay, nice. Cool. So out of all these things, I guess the summit was about a month ago. So out of these takeaways, which one do you feel like you've taken off with the most in your life? Like what have you actively been working on? Obviously, besides your spiritual goals you just shared, or an uplifting takeaway right now.
So I think that I've been trying to really do my best in things. And I also, if you've read the book called The 4 Agreements, it's really good. That's one of the agreements, is do your best. And I think that's similar to Tony Robbins' message with energy. I've really been trying to consistently put effort into things that I generally wouldn't. And it's not like the bigger things I would, like doing my best with like making videos. I always do that because it's just a habit, but like doing my best at keeping my room clean, or like washing dishes before I put them in the dishwasher instead of just putting them in, because then they don't get cleaned all the way. And Jocelyn doesn't like that. So like doing my best in little things like that, I think it is a good way to develop a character and habit of having higher energy. So that's probably, other than the spiritual one, that's probably the one I've been focusing most on.
I love that. And I honestly wish I could say I've been working on something too based off of these notes, but Cole shared with me some of his notes a month ago, and I'm now remembering a lot more, but I love the energy thing. I feel like I'm a very high energy person. So for me, it's a matter of channeling and prioritizing. And I think that just ties right into Elder Bednar's what matters most. And, where am I spending my time and energy? And then how can I maximize in those areas I want more energy in, such as my relationship with Jesus Christ. So I think that all came full circle. That was awesome.
Somehow did make that work.
Yeah, you're good at what you do, Cole. And I'm happy we had you on here. And we'll have him and his awesome, amazing wife, Jocelyn, because they both have another social account that just is helpful resources for divorced saints. And Cole, your handle of your personal account, is it just Cole Zesger?
TikTok is that, and then Instagram is Coach Cole Zesiger because someone else was already Cole Zesiger.
Coach Cole Zesiger. So I'll post these on Instagram for you guys to check out, and we'll have them back on again because they're full of wisdom, and it's fun to hear. If you're into content creating, Cole's your guy. So thank you again, Cole. And
Thanks.
any last words to leave people off with as they listen?
I'm really happy that you had me on here. It was really cool. I feel like I got to remember things instead of just leaving them in this book, which I love. And I'm actually gonna try to like do better because I've told people I will now on here.
Yeah, accountability. Me too.
But yeah, the biggest thing is like, if you do want to start something like content creation, which it's my favorite career now that's possible for a human to do.
That's awesome.
I really think that if you have any experience doing anything and you're willing to talk about it consistently enough, then you can succeed in it. Like the only reason I'm doing breakups and divorces is because that was on my mind at the time that I started. Like yeah. I did not get a degree in that. I had a degree in biomedical science, which has nothing to do with it. So like, don't limit yourself to it. And if you want to get started with something, post 3 videos a day and do that for 30 days and see where you get. But cool. It's super fun. So
yeah, well, you rock at it. Thanks again, Cole. Everyone, will talk to you next week. Sorry, my episodes have been on Thursdays, but so look out for Tuesday or Thursday. Now it'll be a little bit of a surprise for your week. But we'll talk to you all next week. See ya.